Good morning and welcome to the Killik and Co Market Update. The big news this week is the UK general election, which has been called for the 4th of July. At the moment, the consensus is that a Labour majority is very likely. Here's a 5-year set of polling data that we've taken from the BBC. It shows that 45% of individuals plan to vote Labour and 23% Conservative. You can see there was a big spike for Labour and a big drop for the Conservatives in autumn 2022, which was the time of the mini-budget. Obviously, polls can change and they can also be wrong, but nevertheless, we will be keeping a close eye on this data over the coming weeks. The manifestos haven't yet been published, so it's difficult to say exactly what the impact will be on markets of either party winning. But there was a notable drop in 3 listed water companies when the election was announced. Here are Severn Trent, United Utilities and Pennon over the last 3 years, and you can see they've all come down this week. So this suggests that investors view the prospect of a Labour victory as negative for these companies. For those with a global investment portfolio, it's possible that movements in the UK market will not have a hugely significant impact on overall performance. For example, a portfolio tracking the MSCI World Index would likely have an allocation to the UK market of less than 4%. NVIDIA published results this week, which had been very highly anticipated. The results were better than expected, sending the shares over $1,000 each. Here's a 3-year chart. The shares are up over 100% in just this year to date. The company also announced a 10-for-1 stock split, meaning that anyone with 1 share now will end up with 10 shares, each worth 1/10 of the previous price. NVIDIA currently has 2.5 billion shares in issuance, trading at over $1,000 each. If we multiply these together, we get a market capitalization of $2.6 trillion. After the stock split, there will be 10 times as many shares, that's 25 billion, each worth just over $100 each. If we multiply these new figures together, we get the same market capitalization of $2.6 trillion. Companies often carry out stock splits to make their shares more liquid. For example, there may be many people who would like to invest in NVIDIA, but they may not have $1,000 to invest in one single company. However, they may have $100 or $200, so they will be able to invest after the stock split. And finally, the copper price hit a record high at the start of this week. Copper is important for electrification, and it is expected that demand will rise as, for example, we start driving more electric vehicles. On this chart, we've got the movements in the copper price in percentage terms in the green. We're comparing it to the shares of Freeport-McMoRan, a copper miner, to illustrate the point that shares in copper miners tend to be closely correlated with the copper price. This week, National Grid has announced a rights issue to raise money to invest in its infrastructure, and it's likely that a fair amount of this money will be spent on copper. Moving on to have a look at next week, we're coming to the very end of earnings season, and we are expecting results out from Salesforce and Costco. That's it from us. Enjoy the bank holiday weekend, and we'll see you next Friday.